Hi everybody, welcome back to another video. My name is Charlotte and today we're going to do a January wrap up. If you don't know what a wrap up is, it's basically just going through all of the books that I read in January, talking a little bit about them and then, giving them a little star rating there at the end. So, you know, kind of where I put the book. But also star ratings are a little weird because I might I might give a book 3 stars because I didn't really enjoy it, but then I would also give a book 3 stars because I did enjoy it, but it's not maybe my genre. So star ratings are weird. They're very personal, but it will give you like a little feeling of it. And we're going to start with the first book I read, which was A Wild Love. I got this for Christmas from my brother. I don't know if he knows what he bought me. I think he just went in and just bought the book and just said, yeah, that's good. Don't really care. Sounds like him. But yeah, Wild Love. It's the first book in the Rosehill series. This one is about Ford and, well, Rosalie, but they call her Rosie. And Ford is a billionaire, as you should be, you know? As you should be. As you should be. And his best friend is West. West? Wes. One of the two. Wes, I think. Why doesn't it say West? Okay, it's West. This one is about Ford and Rosie, or Rosalie as her full name is. And Ford is a gazillionaire. He has just become Forbes' most sexiest billionaire, which, as you know, you should. You should always, at least once in your life, become the world's most sexiest billionaire. And he has decided to go back to the town where his family vacationed, and he has his best friend, West, to build a recording studio. So you get to see that he has dabbled in different stuff, but this is like his passion project and where he wants to put all of his time and money as of right now. And Rosie is West's little sister, so she's always been around, like she's always had time with Ford, but more as the annoying little sister than a friend. She also moves back to town and she needs a job, and she decides to kind of ambush him and be like, you need to hire me. And he's like, okay. She's like, wait, what? But he makes sure that everything is like done the correct way, She needs to send in an application and everything so it doesn't look like he is favoriting her, even though he doesn't have a job out. So he can hire whoever the fuck he wants. All of these books in the Rosehill series are single dad tropes. This trope I found to be a little bit weird. All of a sudden, a girl is at his doorstep and is like, hey, I think you're my dad. And it turns out, I'm not going to go into how he kind of is her biological dad, but not really. There's some technical stuff in there, and you do get to know that they kind of figure that shit out, but you don't get into the logistics of it, which is fine by me. Yeah, you get to see him thrive having a teenage daughter all of a sudden, and Rosie is like, damn, that's hot. Which it is. I don't know. I love a good single dad trope. So that's me. The way they build their relationship is so sweet because you get to see that he has always been infatuated with her. And you get to see that she realizes that she has always kind of been infatuated with him as well. She starts giving him little notes from her diary where she has written about him. And there's just so many cute things. She doesn't like the name of the recording company, so she decides to just edit the name at the end of the email every time. So it's like just fantastic banter, and it shows that they have a relationship that is grounded in friendship because they keep on, shooting shit, just having fun, but it's still kind of loving, which is weird to say. But yeah, I loved it. I fucking loved this book. This book, I think I gave it a 4.75, but the more I think about it, this is like a 5-star book for me. I love this book. I love it. I think about Ford sometimes, which is also a weird thing to say. But I do. I do. He's a man that learns from his mistake, and I like that, okay? It brings joy to my heart. Also forgot to say, it's an Elsie Silver book. But yeah, it's the first book in the Rosehill series. This was a 5-star read, as I said. If you do not like the single dad trope, you might like this one still. It's not a single dad in the way that, he's changing diapers all the time and everything. He is just trying to help his biological teenage daughter get through a very difficult time in her life. And it's not difficult because, she's getting her period. It is like difficult for other reasons. I really liked it. I love this. It was 5 stars. So what did I do? I did what you're supposed to do. I just went straight on into the second book in this series, which is Wild Eyes, also written by Elsie Silver. And this one is about West. West, as I said, is Rosie's big brother. And I can't. Skylar is coming into town to do a recording session with Ford. Something happens. She decides to just show up unannounced. They do not have the lodging ready for her. But Rosie's like, do you know where you can live? You can just live, at my brother's. He has like a tiny house. There is a rat that lives there, but the rat is pretty nice. So if you feed him, I would be happy. And yeah, she moves in right next door, meets West. Well, she's already met West, but I won't tell you about that because that was funny. And you also get to see her realize that she has some childhood trauma. You get to meet his kids. You get to meet his ex-wife for a little bit. And this is also such a cute story. The way that they bond, the way that they connect, the way that it just seems like they're meant to be is fantastic. I love it. And, West, I liked West in the first book as well. So I had a feeling I would like West in this one also. But at the end of the day, he's just fantastic. I love him. I don't want to tell you too much because I don't want to spoil the entire book, but just know that he has 2 kids and they're massive fans of Skylar because Skylar is a huge recording artist. And, she also has feelings, which the way they describe these men, I think a lot of us would have feelings. And yeah, I don't want to talk too much about it. I feel like whatever I want to say is spoilery and I don't want to spoil it for you. But it was witty, it was fun, which is kind of the same thing. You got to see a little bit of her childhood trauma. You got to see what he kind of struggles with. He talks about how he was a rebel as a teenager, all of that stuff. It's just such a good story. And it's a story about finding yourself as well and figuring out who you are and how to work through stuff, standing up for yourself. And the next book is coming out in, I want to say March, but it might also be May. Might also be April. I can't remember right now. But that one is about Reese and Tabitha. And you get to meet both of them in these books. Reese you get to know kind of at the end of the first one, and he's a little bit in the second one. And Tabitha is also someone you just kind of see as a side character in both of the books. You get introduced to Tabitha as a friend of Rosie, and Rosie brings out Skylar, and that's also how you get to see a little bit of Tabitha. And Reese joins the bowling team, which they bowl every other Thursday. It's like you have to be a dad to join the bowling team. Like that's the rule. Ford joins in the first book. West is already, a team member, and they have like a funny name and everything. It's fantastic. And then Reese shows up in the book and is like, hey, do you guys want to come to my wedding? And they're like, I'm sorry, what now? That's how you kind of figure out who the third book is about. I'm very excited. He's very mysterious. I have a feeling that we have like a dark, brooding dude coming towards us. I'm very excited. Both of them, 5 stars. We started off the year with a freaking bang, okay? With a bang. I love them both so much. I want more. I'm really sad that I actually started reading the books before all of them were out because I would kind of just want to read them all. But because I was in a lovey-dovey mood, I went over to Twisted Love. And I'm not going to talk too much about it. I am making a spoiler-free video with all of the Twisted books because they're now getting turned into a series. But I did pleasantly enjoy this. I gave it a 3.5. It's about Alex and Ava. Alex is, once again, you have to be a billionaire at least once in your life. And Alex did it while he was still kind of like a teenager, now that I think about it. They're like the mid-20s. And he's been a billionaire for a while. Anywho, and then you have Ava. Ava has childhood trauma, so they go hand in hand. Alex is best friends with Ava's big brother, so it's brother's best friend's little sister, whatever way you want to put that trope. It's trauma, it's, kind of touch her and you die in a way. This does have trigger warnings, so if you have triggers, as always, please check them out before you pick up the book, because my triggers are not your triggers and vice versa, so just take care of yourself. Reading is supposed to be fun and it's not supposed to be triggering. But if you do want to read it, go for it and tell me what you think about it. This one is thin. The next one is thicker, and I think the fourth one is like just a thick ass boy. But it did make me very excited to read the second one. I did really enjoy this. I wasn't sure I was going to because I did not like The Striker by her. I love a good sports romance. Like sports romances is my go-to, but I didn't like that one. So I was kind of interested if I even was going to like this one. But I did. It was pleasantly surprising and I did enjoy it, and I'm glad it wasn't thicker, because if it was thicker I wouldn't like it. And that was the problem with The Striker as well. There was like 300 pages in that book that I just didn't need, and I'm afraid, because the other ones are also thicker, that we're going to fall into the same trap where you're just over it and you have like 30% left of the book. But I read this one, 3.5 on that one, and like I said, we're going to make a video on all of them where I talk about all of them. Then I went over to Caraval, which is like, kind of very different. Kind of very different. It is very different. I buddy read this with a friend of mine, and I did enjoy it. There's nothing wrong with the book. A book like this doesn't need smut. So that's not the problem, because all of the books I read are usually kind of smutty. Because, I have the heart of a married woman, but, I apparently have the brain of a slut. So I did enjoy it. This one is about Scarlett, and I cannot remember the name of the sister. What is the name of the sister? Like, what's going on here? Scarlett and... no, Crimson, that's her. Donatella. They have a dad. That's kind of horrible. Like, I don't like the dad. I don't think anybody likes the dad. If you're rooting for the dad in this book, you should definitely get another therapy session, because I think that's wrong. Well, maybe not at the end. Anywho. Every year there is this, like, it's not necessarily a carnival. It's a caraval. So they're never in the same place twice, and you can go there. If you get an invitation, you can either watch the games or you can be part of the games. And if you're part of the games, there are a set of rules that you have to follow to get through to the next round. So you can technically get kicked out. And Scarlett has been writing to Master Legend, which is like this, like, Master of Ceremonies. Master of Ceremonies, yes. He's kind of like the MC of the entire thing. He controls everything, for years, trying to get them to come back to the Isle where she is, because her sister really wants to go. And all of a sudden she gets a letter from him, and no, her sister one of them gets the letter, I can't really remember, and they have to go. But she doesn't want to go because she's going to get married in like God knows how many days, because her dad won't tell her when her wedding day is, which is rude, why won't you tell her when her wedding day is? Like, let the girl know she needs to shower beforehand. Jesus Christ. She also doesn't know who she's getting married to. She's only written a few letters with him. So that's also a choice. Anywho, she doesn't want to go. They decide to go anyways, and they're going to come back to her wedding because they figure out when her wedding is, yada, yada, yada. And they're going to go with a dude that once again, Julian? Can't I remember? Yeah, his name is Julian. Oh, I can't remember names. Oh my God, I'm so good. They go with this dude named Julian because he knows where it is. He can get them there. It's a whole ordeal. And basically, she gets told that she has to find her sister before the end of the last day, or otherwise something will happen with her sister. She decides that she's going to try and do it in less days because she wants to get back for her wedding. Wait, you get where I'm going with this? Okay, good. Not going to tell you much more about it. The story is very intriguing, but I kept on forgetting that she is a teenager, because she's like literally like, I think she's like 16, 17 in these books. Because she's getting married, in my head, I'm like, well, she has to at least be, like 20, but she's young and she makes young decisions. Let's just leave it at that, okay? Some of her decisions she makes, she kind of gets tricked into, like she believes one thing, but then something else happens. So you kind of have to look at the wording, like how they say stuff, And I'm here to read, not to interpret. So I also got shocked, but I did enjoy it. I did. Do I need to finish the series though? I don't think so. I don't feel like I need more from this universe. I like the universe. I like the idea of the universe, but I think I'm too old I think that's the problem. I think I'm just too old to read about a 16-year-old. Maybe that's it. I gave it a 3-star. I did enjoy it. I might. If it's ever available on the app I use to borrow books, I might borrow it and read the second and the third book if I enjoy the second one, of course. But it's not like I'm going to go out of my way to read it right now. I have so many other books I rather want to read. So, yeah. Then the last book I read this month was this one. And if you've been around my channel before, you know that I have some mixed feelings about the Empyrean series, which I now finally learned. It's called the Empyrean series. I just keep on calling it the Fourth Wing series, but that's not the name of the series. It's the third book, though, in the Empyrean series. The first one is Fourth Wing. The second one is Iron Flame, and now you have Onyx Storm. So, I'm not going to tell you what the other one's about. If you haven't read them, you don't need a play-by-play right now. I don't really know what to say about this book without spoiling it, but because I had a hard time when I finished the second one, the first thing that happened when I started reading this book was that I got immensely annoyed. I got so annoyed, it's not even funny. I got visibly irritated when I started reading it because I could not for the life of me remember why I wanted to read this book. So I had to take a step back. I actually took a day and just didn't read. And I talked to my friend and I was like, okay, what do I need to remember from the other two books? Because all I am right now is visibly annoyed. And I'm going to try. The second book I heard as a graphic audiobook, and I figured out that's just not for me. My brain can't comprehend when there's too much noise and there's nothing visible for me to see. I get very caught up in the sounds in the background and I don't really listen to what they say. So that's just not for me. So I decided to just take a day, take a step back, come back to reading and listening to the normal audiobook. And I'm so glad that I did. Because the books, no, I wouldn't say they're a masterpiece per se, but they're good. They are very good. And at some point, I actually messaged my friend and I just went, I don't like this book. No, I don't like it. No, take it away. No, not interested. Because something happened and the book made me upset. And not just by being a book, but from something that actually happened in the book. I still don't really know what I feel about it. I don't really know how I feel about it. It hasn't left me empty like other books have. So it's not a 5-star read for me. I'm so sorry if this is your favorite book of all time. I know that fantasy, I don't know what a fantasy has to give me to be a 5-star read, but it's lacking something for me. It's lacking something. But I think this is a 4.5. I really enjoyed this. And it actually made me want to reread the two other ones as well. And maybe I'll do that at some point. They actually made me want to reread them in Norwegian, which is my native language. Because I feel like if I read them in Norwegian, I would probably understand more. Because my problem with fantasy is that sometimes the sentences just doesn't make sense because there's so many made up words. And then I get kind of caught up on the made up words and I don't really understand what the rest is and I confuse myself. So I think maybe if I reread it in Norwegian, it would just make me fall in love with the series. And that's not on the series, that's on me. So it's not the series, it's 100% a me thing. But I think this is a 4.5. I pleasantly enjoyed this. I had fun with this. I did find it a little bit hard to finish. It is a little bit on the longer side for me. I know that some people wanted it to be 1,000 pages. I am one of the people that, I don't know, I would rather have a thinner book and have more books, because there were several places in this book that where if it ended, it would want me to read more. But at the same time, I have more of the book, so I did want to read more. I just need a little break when it gets too long. I can't read a series in one. If it's an interconnected standalone where you get different characters in different scenarios, yes, I can read them back to back to back. But when I read A Court of Thorn and Roses, I needed books in between because it just got too much for me. I get a little bit bored of the characters, which is not the character's fault, it's just how my brain works. I need a little bit of space in between to fully enjoy it, and that's on me. That's not on the book. So I did spend, I think I used 10 days finishing this, but I just decided that I was going to read at a speed that still made me enjoy it, and I wasn't going to hurry to finish it because then I wouldn't enjoy it anymore. But yeah, that was the last book I read. That was the last book I read in January. I finished it right at the end of January, and now I'm ready to read more books in February. A lot of them are romance books, but it is like a romance month, so it's fine. It's also my birthday month, so I'm allowed to read whatever I want, as I am the rest of the year, and you are also. But if you made it this far, would you want to throw me a book recommendation that's not necessarily a romance book in the typical billionaire sports romance genre? Do you have maybe a fantasy book that's not that well known? Or it can be crime, not horror. I cannot do horror, but it could be like crime, mystery, something like that, that you were pleasantly surprised and maybe it got you into that genre and that's what made you fall in love with those types of books. If you have any, please throw them in the comment section, because I would love some more recommendations that is just not, a happy ending in more ways than one. But yeah, that's it for me for this time. Thank you guys so much for spending some of your precious time with me. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully I will see you all in the next one. Bye bye.